It goes without saying that we all have wonderfully unique lives and jobs. And for some of us, that means we get to wear whatever we want to work, or at least most of the things that we knit. When I'm at home, I dress very comfortably and casually, and I'm lucky enough that my office allows me to wear pretty much whatever, except for sometimes when I have a big event or a meeting and I have to dress up, which means corporate wear. It's a shame that at those times I find myself unable to reach into my handmade wardrobe, especially in the warmer months. When I can't just grab a pullover or a cardigan, I have to resort to my store-bought items, which more and more I find myself unhappy with. I fear I'm becoming a bit of a fibre snob. I recently got thinking that it would be nice to knit a few things that were really professional for workwear, or something like a statement piece that I could bring to a big meeting or a work trip. Pieces that are designed to fit in with pleated pants and pencil skirts. But how many patterns out there fit the bill? What makes a pattern good for work? That's different for everyone, but here are some of my criteria. I'd need the piece to be pretty non-distracting, so simple designs and simple patterns. I love the creativity that's out there in the knitting world, but there are times when I need to blend in and not stand out. But that doesn't mean no detail at all. Subtle details and small textural things can add a lot of interest to a work outfit. Practicality is key here. I'm talking no sleeves longer than my hands, nothing that threatens to bust open in the middle of the day or fall off. And when in doubt, probably leaning more modest. You never know when you might have a job interview or a company photo taken. And that for me means no deep V's, no bare shoulders, no crop tops and the like. For work outfits, I probably lean more towards neutral colors, more so than standout colors. That's definitely not a rule, but I'd like to have a good mix of neutral things so that I can mix and match and make a lot of outfits out of fewer number of pieces. The stuff I wear to work has to be really well fitted or tailored. I can't have things that look like I've borrowed them off someone else or they've shrunk in the wash. They've really got to look like they fit me the way they should. Now, room temperature wearability is also a priority. So, if I know I'm going to have to take something off once I get inside the building, it means I have to dress the underlayers up also. So if I can find something that would be suitable to wear in the office, that would be better. My office is around 22 degrees Celsius. I think that's pretty standard. I don't get super cold. I know some people do. I'm pretty comfortable in a lot of temperatures, but I probably couldn't wear like a really thick, heavy knitted sweater all day at the office. Similarly, I probably can't wear gloves while I'm at work, and other accessories like beanies and stuff are off the cards. I do want a mix of both tops and bottoms. I know I definitely lean towards knitted tops, and I think that's pretty common for a lot of people. But I wear pants and skirts a lot to work, and it seems like a shame that they're kind of never hand knitted. If I can find some patterns for some cool knitted pants and skirts, I definitely like to incorporate those. I do want a few accessories, even though, beanies and gloves are off the table. I do have to walk through the cold in the winter mornings to work, and sometimes it's nice to have like a scarf or a shawl that you can throw over yourself if you are feeling a little bit chilly at your desk. And finally, I want to make sure there's a bit of a balance between the trendy and the classic styles. I don't want to knit anything that's really outdated, but similarly, I don't want to make anything that's super trendy because in a couple of years, that's going to become outdated. So I want to pick something that's, fashionable, but also it's going to last me more than just a year or two. I want to reiterate that these are not my everyday style criteria. It's just for this specific situational need, which is, corporate wear. I think that bringing your personality to work is a really good thing. If you work somewhere where you can wear whatever you want, absolutely do it. I think items that are colorful and fun and represent you as a person are awesome to wear to work every day. And if it were up to me, I think dress codes would pretty much be a thing of the past. But that's where I'm at. So I took these criteria and some of my style inspiration to Ravelry, and I've had a look around for what might fit the bill. I did find lots of things interest me, and I've made a Ravelry bundle, so I can link that below in case you want to go and poke through these yourself. But what I want to do is I want to sit at my computer with you and take you through the patterns I picked, give you a little bit of info on them and why I picked them, and maybe it'll inspire you to knit some of these for your workwear wardrobe too. So let's get into it. Okay, we're already in my office, so just probably sitting at my desk now. I'm going to apologize in advance. My office chair is so squeaky, but you know, I want to be comfortable for this video. Hopefully you're seeing a recording of my screen over here. This is the Ravelry bundle I've put together. So I'm just going to take you through all the patterns, talk about why I picked them, and yeah, hopefully you can get some inspiration from them too. First up we have, I should have looked up how to say this, the Holovik skirt. So what I want to do here is just take you to each pattern. Yeah. Cool. So this is a skirt designed by Svata Furet. I believe that's a yarn brand, and it's been published by Wool and Beyond. So this is a really cool skirt, which is knit in DK weight, a gauge of 20 stitches per 4 inches. All the gauges I talk about in this video I'm going to mention as per 4 inches. So this is a 20 stitch gauge. And it's available as a free download, which is really cool, starting off strong. It's this simple rectangular 2-color wrap skirt. And it's got a contrasting I-cord kind of bind off and tie, which I really like. It's a lovely kind of looks like slipped stitch pattern, maybe mosaic. I don't know if that's the right word. The sample's been knit relatively short, but I think you can extend this quite easily. So I would wear this a little bit longer for work. And yeah, it's got quite a few patterns. You can look at the different colors people have knitted in. I love the classic black and white, but yeah, it also looks really great with like a contrasting pop of color. I like that the 2 colors kind of mellow each other out, so you can use colorful yarns without having like a really brightly block colored final finished object. So that's my first pattern, and pretty directly inspired by that is the Sirius skirt. So this has actually been in my queue for a long time. This is a beautiful houndstooth A-line above the knee skirt. It's designed by Charissa, knit in sport weight yarn, 26 stitch gauge, and she's done her sample in black and white, which is the classic houndstooth color. I just think this is beautiful. So if you don't know, houndstooth is this kind of pattern here where there's a tessellating interlocking shapes. They're not quite squares. They're this kind of, I don't know where that, I guess it's supposed to look like a dog's tooth. I don't know where this has come from. But it's a really, really classic old-fashioned kind of textile pattern. I love the fit of this. It's got a slightly flared line. Sport weight, I do have a bunch of sport weight yarn, so this would be easy for me to make. And I love seeing, again, all the color combinations. So some people have gotten really creative and have done things other than black and white. Beautiful. And again, you could lengthen this, you could add a split, you could do whatever to make this a little bit more yours. But I think it's a really classic kind of corporate friendly pattern, houndstooth is. So next up, still in the skirt kind of realm, I've picked out the waffle loop skirt. This is a pattern designed by Other Loops. It is worsted plus lace, so it must have some sort of mohair in it. And the gauge is 19 stitches, so that is quite a tight gauge for a worsted weight pattern, in my opinion. So it sounds like it'll make a nice thick winter skirt. And as the name would suggest, it looks like it's knit in something called a waffle texture. So what I like about this is clearly she's knit the sample in a really neutral color, but the texture really adds something to the outfit. So you can see here she's paired it with a blouse like you might wear to work. And I really love how the texture just adds a bit of interest. It's not distracting. And you can see here she's actually got a waffle sweater, I think, and it's kind of like a set. And this is the skirt knit to a longer length, which I really like. Yeah, beautiful. So you can see some sample pictures where people have knit it to knee or below knee length and then paired it with high boots, which I really like. And finally in our skirts, I've chosen out the Nemi skirt. So this is designed by Milena Johola, and it's also knit in sport weight at a gauge of 23 stitches. This is designed as a long skirt, and it's knit with a kind of chunky rib and in a long fitted style. So I actually owned a skirt like this, and I, wore it pretty much out. And I thought it was a really great choice for wearing to work, especially mine was in a navy color, which really, it was kind of like the skirt equivalent of a pair of navy pants. Like you could just pair it with anything that suited navy. I love the super chunky rib and some of the styling that she's got in these pictures of the chunky loafers. Yeah, not much else to say about this one, but it's just a nice, different take on a textured skirt. Okay, so next we're going to move on to pants. I did deliberately look for some knitted pants because I really want to be brave and make some. And I'm so surprised by what I found. So the first ones we're going to talk about are the wide pants. So these are designed by Anna Enger, and they're knit in fingering plus fingering. She says equals fingering, but I doubt that. I think it's DK weight. The gauge is 18 stitches. And these are beautiful wide leg pants with a pocket, which I love. Pockets and this faux seam down the front. Looks like it's done with purl stitches. Faux seams down the front of either side of the pants. So they kind of mimic a tailored pant look. And they're really widely cut. So, and I love that they kind of graze the ground. She's done them in some beautiful neutral colors here. Yeah, and I've never actually seen a knitted pant pattern with pockets, so it just makes them so much more practical for wearing to work. So for example, I have like a swipe past card I have to carry around at my work, and so pants and skirts without pockets can be really difficult. So that's a huge win. I love the design details in the legs. I think this pattern's really reasonably priced too, and there's already some beautiful projects on here. So you can get creative with the colors as always, but I love the neutral colors she's chosen. So already a strong start for the pants. The next choice of mine were the solo trousers. These are designed by Le Pool, and they're actually in an Aran weight, and it says a gauge of 36 stitches, so that surprised me, but I realized that they're an all over ribbed texture. The only stockinette portions are the pockets, these feature pockets at the front. I don't know how to describe this because I'm not a sewist, but the pockets are not set into the side seams. They are on the front and they are rectangular. So those are the stockinette portions. The rest of it is all over rib. So I imagine to prevent this from being a fitted pair of pants, there's a lot of stitches in here to give the positive ease. And because rib gathers in when it's not being stretched, that's why the gauge is so tight. Other things I like about these pants is that they feature an elasticated waistband, which is, I believe, folded over and with an actual piece of elastic in it. So they're going to stay up really well. And I like the slight boot cut design. I don't know how they've achieved that. I don't know if that's a natural flare of the texture or if that is something that's just actually in the stitching. But I love how they flare out just a little bit at the bottom. As always, Le Pool's designs are really cool and trendy, but I think in a darker color, these would still be quite wearable. So in a similar vein, I wanted to find some other pants of that same nature, which are really in at the moment. I did find these casual bootcut pants by Phoenix Bess. They're also worsted weight. They're knit in stockinette, so the gauge is much more normal. It's 17 stitches per 4 inches. And I was so surprised when I realized these were published in 2008. So that's going to be 17 years ago, I think. And as we all know, fashion comes back around. So these are bootcut pants, so they get slightly wider below the knee, especially around the ankles. They have a ribbed section at the cuffs, but they also low rise. So if you're looking for a low rise pant, these would be a great option. I love the striped projects some people have done. Really cool. I'd love to come up with a way to kind of fit striped pants into my work wardrobe. I'm not sure. But But this pattern is also free. So if you're interested in a free, trendy pant pattern, this is what I would suggest. And finally, for the trousers, I have chosen the Copenhagen pants. So these are also by Melania Holla. So this is her second pattern in this list. They're also worsted weight, and they're at a gauge of 17 stitches. I imagine worsted weight pants are so popular because they probably knit up quickly, and they presumably are not very see-through. Because I can imagine, you know, a see-through, very lightweight pant might be a bit uncomfortable. So these are a mid-rise pant, and they have more of a fitted thigh that goes through to a real bell-bottom peplum hem. So it's got this feature kind of ruffle at the bottom, which I love. So cool. Probably a little bit trendy, but I mean, if you really got sick of the ruffle, I'm sure you could, you know, rip it back and just finish it off normally in like another year or two if you were over it. Very, very cool design. See, these are kind of like the people I want to be like. It's awesome. There's some duplicate stitch stars on it. That's so cool. So yeah, those are the fourth pair of pants that I chose out. They're all quite similar, but I guess that's the style of pants I would like to knit myself for work. Okay, moving along to tops and dresses. My first tee selection is by the designer Lily Kate France, and this is her brightest tee. I've had this on my favorites for a long time. This is a beautiful boat neck, cap sleeve t-shirt. It's quite simple. It does have a side seam feature down the sides beneath the armpits. Other than that, it's quite simple. It looks like it's got a bit of a set-in style of cap sleeve, so really well fitted. You could use this as a basis for a lot of different things. I think this is just a classic basic it's one step up from just like a cotton t-shirt. So again, if you were wearing one of your chunkier knits to work and then it warmed up during the day and you had to take that off, this would be an awesome thing to have underneath, because one, it would keep you extra warm, but two, it's a really detailed and thoughtful piece to be wearing. So you're not going to be embarrassed by the top that you're wearing underneath. This is a feature in and of itself, so I really like it for that. There are so many projects of all of her designs, so there's heaps and heaps of inspiration. People have done striped and variegated yarns, plain ones. So yeah, that's my first tee pick. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention that was fingering weight yarn with 26 stitch gauge. Another t-shirt I love for the detail is the Campanula tee, which is by Anna Herman Sørensen. This is knit with sport weight yarn at a 30 stitch gauge, so similar to the last rib pattern I talked about. Presumably you get quite a lot more stitches in per 4 inches in a ribbed texture. The standout feature for this for me is this irregular rib. So it's not even amounts of knits and purls, they're varied. I also love the mock neck. I wear a lot of mock neck shirts to work. I don't know why. I just own a lot of mock necks. It's got a beautiful kind of, again, set-in sleeve. But obviously the standout feature is the lettuce hem. So it's got these wonderful wibbly hems, which I think are so beautiful. And would look really nice poking out from beneath some sort of sweater. So if you were wearing a crew neck like this one I'm wearing today, and then you had this white ruffle sticking out, I think that would look really nice. It's got quite a number of patterns too, so you can have a look at some of the inspiration there. I love the white one. I think I'd probably knit this in white personally. But there's some beautiful striped versions too. So yeah, gorgeous, love this top. The third shirt I picked out is Maxi's mock neck. This is designed by Ina Bekimbayeva. It is knit in DK weight at a gauge of 42 stitches. So again, this is an all over ribbed number with a little bit of positive ease. It's a really sophisticated, quite a high funnel or mock neck. It's got a mid-length short sleeve with an option to lengthen the sleeve. And it also has options to extend the length of the top to become a tunic dress. So it gives you a lot of options in this one pattern. But the sound of the 42 stitches per 4 inches just to me screams that it would take a long time to knit. And as we all know, I'm rather impatient and a pretty slow knitter, so this would be quite a commitment. But this pattern looks really detailed. It's got a lot of options and variations. I also really appreciate that this designer has some discount codes which you can use if you need them. And there's a couple of projects on here so you can see what it looks like in all its different variations. So yeah, it looks like it'd be a really nice winter top, this one. As we move from tops into sweaters, on a similar vein, I want to talk about the Nola sweater dress. So this is designed by Marita Harvey or Second Knit. The yarn weight is Aran weight, gauge of 18 stitches. And like Maxie's mock neck, this is also a kind of funnel or mock neck top, but it's all stockinette, so it doesn't have the ribbing. It's also designed with a saddle shoulder, which I love. It's very oversized, and it also has the instructions to lengthen the design if you want a full winter dress. So yeah, this looks really warm. I like patterns with variables, so you can use them more than once. And this would just be a little bit quicker to knit up, in my opinion. It's all been knit in quite neutral, so if someone does this in a bright color, I'd love to see that. Okay, so since we're moving along into the sweaters, the next one I have is this hourglass sweater. So this is still, to me, kind of a top. It is a pattern by Joel Hoverson, and I believe it was in a book, published in a book, so I think you have to find the book in order to find this pattern. This is an Aran weight, which I guess is why it's a sweater and not a top. But to me, the fit is quite like a boat neck long sleeve top. The gauge is 19 stitches. And this is another older pattern. This is October 2004, so over 20 years old. I think this is just a very classic design. So it's a raglan with a squared off boat neck. And it includes waist shaping and I think a really nice long, slightly oversized bell sleeve. So it's not got cuffs, it's not tied around the wrists. If anything, it gets looser around the wrists. And being such an old pattern, it has 1,600 projects on here. Incredible. So you can see every possible variation you could ever want. But I think a long sleeve top made in wool is kind of a classic workwear piece. This shows a little bit of the neck without being any sort of V-neck. It would be warm. The waist shaping, I think, would look really flattering. This is an example of someone blocking theirs out. It looks like it's relatively intense waist shaping, which could be nice. It means you can knit the piece a little bit longer. It looks like it comes back out at the hips. So this could be not a cropped item. This could be quite a long top, but it still looks really tailored. I'm so impressed. When a design stands the test of time for over 20 years, I think it's worth celebrating. So now firmly into the outerwear category, the next pick of mine is Vest the Delight. This is by Manmi Choi in Aran weight yarn at a gauge of 20 stitches, so relatively tight. It's because it is a cabled V-neck vest. It has a tie closure, and to me the cables look really just classic. This is a very Ivy League style piece. You'd have to put it over another top, like this long sleeve white top she's got in this sample. And it's just beautiful. It has little pockets at the front. I just think sweater vests like this are a classic piece for work because you're not too hot wearing a jumper in the office. You could probably keep this on all day. I also like that this pattern comes with an optional button band modification. So if you're not really into that tie front, which I know is a bit of a trend at the moment, you can instead knit a button band. So that's really thoughtful. And it does have quite a few projects you can look through on Ravelry. Okay, so for some more overwear, I chose another vest. This is the Margot vest. It is designed by Novita Knits. I believe it's published in one of their magazines. So this is actually a free pattern, really cool. And it is a brioche slipover, so super oversized drop shoulder vest, which is basically just a big rectangle with a massive roll neck. Very cool, very chunky. So yeah, if you worked somewhere that was a little bit cooler or you run cool, this would be awesome to wear in the office. And since it's knit on in Aran weight yarn with a gauge of 15 stitches, I think it would be pretty quick to knit up too. Okay, so next up is the scallop jacket. This is by Tonya Herdner or Stricker Cafe, and it is knit in DK weight and a gauge of 22 stitches, and I believe it is in 2x2 rib. So again, I think the 2x2 rib textures are just very classic, very warm. I love the buttons she's chosen for this, where the buttons match the colour of the cardigan exactly. This is a raglan round neck, and it's just really fitted and tailored looking. It looks a little bit like a brioche cardigan that I want to knit, or a half fisherman's rib, but the 2x2 rib would work up a little bit quicker than those. So for that reason, I think it's really practical. There's a lot of projects on this one. Some people have chosen some really bright, bold, beautiful colours. Yeah, not much else to say. Another cardigan I want to talk about is, I believe it's this designer's debut pattern. This is by Alexa Miller, and it is the fitted cardigan plus shoulder pads. I've actually got this pattern, I've downloaded it, and it's called something slightly different in the pattern. So anyway, this is a super classic fitted tailored cardigan, and she has written in an option for shoulder pads as well. So if you're into that look, it's got a round neck with chunky ribbed finishings, button up, and then a set-in sleeve. And you can see here she's modeling it with the shoulder pads, which I think is a really cool look. And yeah, this is a super tailored, lightweight fitted cardigan. So I think this is just, it's going to be wearable forever. It's going to be wearable even if your office is slightly warm. It's not a super chunky knit. And best of all, it's free. So I really recommend you have a look at it. And there's some really great schematics in this pattern, which I really appreciate. And of course, these product photos are beautiful. She's done an incredible job. So you get a really good look at everything. Looks like there's kind of a compound raglan situation here, or like short rows in the arm. So there's a lot of thought being put into this one. There's not a lot of projects for it. It's relatively new, so you could be one of the first people to knit this if you make it. This next cardigan, and our last cardigan, has really wormed its way into my brain. So this is designed by Joanna Gerish. This is the Pauline cardigan. It is knit with 3 strands, equaling worsted weight, at a gauge of 19 stitches. And what I would say about this one is that if you're looking for something with a bit of color work or a bit of pattern, this has an incredibly clever raglan design. And Johanna says that the stripes of color work are worked into the raglan, so they're offset. I don't understand how this works, but you can see here that there are kind of diagonal stripes coming down from the shoulders, which make a point going down the outside of the arm, and then sloping inwards lines of color work. And they're actually knit in garter stitch. So even if you chose a low contrast pairing, this is actually textural. Those stripes are raised. I can't stop thinking about this. I love the color combination she's knitted in. It's just so creative, and I really, really, really want to make it. There are such beautiful color combinations. People have chosen to knit all the stripes in different colors. That would be a great way to use up scraps of yarn too. Oh, I love this one with like a blue stripes on a cream cardigan. Beautiful. What a creative take on a raglan. Yeah, that's the Pauline cardigan. I think really work appropriate way to incorporate some color into your wardrobe. Finally, a sweater that's really similar to the Pauline cardigan is the Romy sweater. This is designed by Sandness. I believe it's in one of their pamphlets, books. This is DK plus lace weight, which they are calling DK, at a gauge of 16 stitches. This is a different kind of take on stripes, I think. So it's this beautiful drop shoulder pullover with a ribbed roll neck, which I know is really trendy at the moment. And it's got a grid pattern on it. So the way that they've approached this is to knit in horizontal stripes every so many rows, like normal. And then the vertical stripes are added with a duplicate stitch after the jumper is done. So you end up with a really cool grid pattern. I think this, again, is a really classy, understated way to get some color work into your work wardrobe without doing the full circular yoke. I knitted this at home like thing that maybe people who aren't knitters wouldn't appreciate as much. This is something I could see being sold at a store, and it doesn't look super homemade, but it would be a really fun and interesting technique to learn. And I think once you learnt it, it'd really open up the opportunities for like, designing your own cool striped things. I love the color combo. They've gone with a grey, beige and black. And I think if I was to knit this, that would be the combination I would pick too. It just looks so classic in that design. So that is our last sweater, but I don't want to finish without talking about a few accessories. So the first accessories, of course, are the office party socks. Yes, I did search Ravelry for office just to see what would come up. And these really made me laugh. So these are designed by Claire Bird, and they're knit in fingering weight, obviously sock yarn at a gauge of 8 stitches, pretty classic. And the kind of gimmick of this pattern is that above the shoe, these are a classic subtly cabled sock. It looks like it's got an interesting back and forth cable pattern that doesn't necessarily cross over where you'd expect it. And the top is knit in just one color. But below the sock, where you couldn't see if you were wearing office shoes, is just crazy stripes. This would be an awesome way, again, to use up scrap yarns, and a really fun way to make socks that you could both wear to the office and at home and get a little bit more enjoyment out of them. I think this concept's really cool. And yeah, you could take this and run with it and do all sorts of different designs. But I just wanted to showcase this really clever idea by Claire. And I am really wanting to knit some socks like this now with maybe you could do color work in the foot only. So, it's like work appropriate above the ankle, and then it says something on the foot inside your shoe. That could be really fun. There's not a lot of projects for this one. So again, I think we need to knit a few of these and get some projects on Ravelry. And for another pair of socks, I've chosen out the soft ruffle socks. These are designed by Alison Schmidt, knit in regular sock yarn, regular sock gauge. However, she has designed a little ruffle that goes on the top of these socks. So cute. If you wear kind of low-rise loafers to work, these would pop out of those and look adorable. In her design, she has she stated that these should be knit with mohair in the ruffle. So the ruffle is fluffy, but I'm sure you get away without it. And really thoughtfully, she has added a video tutorial for how the ruffle works. So apparently it's a seamless ruffle. You don't have to like put stitches on hold or like cast off, cast on, all that stuff. It's all kind of knit contiguously. So I'm very curious how that works. And there's a free YouTube video so you can watch her demonstrate the technique. Really cool. I think it would be a fun feminine touch to a work outfit. We're getting towards the end now, so I want to highlight the houndstooth again. So one of the first skirts I mentioned had houndstooth, and if you're not really into skirts, might I suggest the houndstooth muffler by Church Mouse Yarns. This pattern is actually available on the Wayback Machine, but it does mean it's for free. It's on their website. It looks like it's been taken down, so it's been archived. This is a fingering weight scarf, which is knit at a gauge of 32 stitches. And again, this is the notched checked pattern of houndstooth. It's a little bit smaller than the skirt design was. I think if you worked somewhere a bit cooler or you're someone who gets cold at their desk, this would be a great thing to have floating around. It would suit almost any outfit. That's, I think, the beauty of these kind of intricate colorwork designs is from afar, they do look grey. So I think you could throw this on any day. It's just a very classic looking design. And finally, the next final three projects are different takes on the same concept. So I want to talk about felted bags. So I personally have to carry a lot of stuff to work, and I also have a lot of bulky yarns in colors that I wouldn't necessarily wear. So I think these would be a great option to use those up. The first one I want to highlight is by Maria Kochugura. It is the #knitdiet_knitfelt bag. This is a super bulky pattern, gauge of 10 stitches, and it is, like it says, a felted bag. So you knit a very, very large bag, and then you deliberately felt it in the washing machine. She's done cool, stripy, scrappy design, but you could kind of get creative and do whatever you want there. On a super similar vein, I found the Tolt folded bag. So again, this is knit super bulky, gauge of 12 stitches, and it's just a different take on that same design. So this is knit with a deep V opening in the bag, apparently by knitting several rectangles and then seaming them together. So you end up with this kind of origami folded square. This I don't think is necessarily felted, but I would probably felt it anyway because I don't love the garter stitch kind of look on bags. But again, this is just a cool oversized bag. This is I think this is slightly dressier looking than the tote bag. And it looks like it could fit a laptop really nicely, so that's great. And the final kind of bag I've picked out is another felted one. This is the boho knot bag by Cindy Pylon. So she has a lot of bag patterns that are definitely worth looking at. They're really creative. This one is, as the name suggests, a knot bag. So one of the handles actually slips over the other handle and kind of creates a slip knot to keep the contents inside, and then you sling the other handle over your shoulder. Really creative and would be great for someone who maybe doesn't have to carry quite as much stuff to work. So if you only have to carry a few things, this could be really cool, really interesting take on the design. It's got a round bottom, and again, it's felted. So, however, this one doesn't use quite as chunky of a yarn. This is knit with bulky yarn at a gauge of 14 stitches. With that, I think those are all my patterns. Again, I'm going to make this bundle available below so you can have a little look through if you'd like. And yeah, I really hope this gave you a glimpse into some of the garments that I like and some of the thinking I have when it comes to knitting stuff that's going to be wearable at home and at work. Let me know what you think, and also if you find any patterns that you think will be great for the office, please share them with me because I'm really always open to ideas. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.